Well, hello, ladies. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are. Thanks so much for watching. I am Margaret Brown, and I'd like to welcome you back to the Wives Club. The Wives Club is a group for former wives and current wives and future wives within the private Patreon community of Mr. Kevin Samuels. And I'm just like you, a fellow patron. I booked a session with Kevin to ask his permission that we could stand up a community of like minded women to improve our ethnic image and to promote more marriage minded women and just share from our experiences and learn and grow together so that we can support our men as they provide and protect. I was married at 25 for 10 years, and I am now amicably divorced. But since then, I've been in a relationship for another 10 years with a high value man. And I've learned a lot. I've made mistakes, and I'm happy to share my lessons learned and some actionable things that we all can do to improve as a way of paying it forward. So definitely let me know what your takeaways were from Kevin's most recent show. But tonight we're going to talk about, is it over for Black women? And you know that show title is jarring, but it's a conversation that we definitely have to have. You know, one of the things that Kevin talked about when he kicked off the show, you know, he had taken some time to go home and take care of his family and do some things for mom. And he made a quote about being a man of means and, you know, the heart comes before the means. And that stood out to me. You know, ladies, if you have a man that protects and provides for not only you, but his family, you know, his family of origin or his nuclear family, thank him for that. Even if he doesn't have the means yet, if he's planning and he's telling you what he wants to do and is almost a little frustrated that he can't do everything that he wants to do right now, make sure you support that vision and make sure you let him know how grateful that you are, because that's an indicator of how he's going to protect and provide for you. So don't begrudge him that. Kevin talks a lot about high value men being generous, and that's definitely a way that they can show it. All right, let's see what else he said. So, Kevin talked about dating being dumb, and this one really strikes a chord with me. You know, I've shared with you all that I was married at 25. I met my ex husband when I was 18, and he was the only boyfriend I had in college. And we got married shortly after college. And when I started working and getting into corporate America, and I would be at happy hour or any place where women would congregate, and you start hearing the stories of, you know, pages and pages of body counts and girls' trips and, you know, something like an episode of Sex in the City, you know, I was kind of quietly almost ashamed, like, you know, did I miss out? I've only been with 3 people, you know, but now, um, having put relationships first, you know, I have a skill that does have value. So, you know, there's nothing wrong with enjoying your 20s. I'm not saying that you have to be a prude, not at all, but make sure you time box those activities. Make sure that you are mindful that those are your prime years when you're going to be, you know, your highest value, shall we say. And, you know, just like we make fun of the old man in the club, it's very off putting for a woman in her 30s or 40s to still be trying to do hot girl summer. You know, it's not very becoming, ladies. So if you're going to have your fun, just make sure that you're also dating with intention. Keep those things separate. Do not let that fun girl bleed over into, you know, the circles that you want to actually meet, you know, men that care about reputation, because it is paramount, you know, that you're representing their brand. And just make sure that you keep that priority. If you do meet somebody, you know, when you're younger, like Kevin says, go ahead and cash out, exit stage left, and start building something that will last. You know, you'll be able to have, you know, fun within reason, you know, in a relationship, but there's nothing sadder than listening to a woman, especially, or a man who says, you know, I had a good one, I let him get away, we are not promised tomorrow. We're not guaranteed a second chance. I am so fortunate to be able to try again, but I work very hard at it. And that's some of the stuff that I want to share with you all here. Another thing that Kevin talked about was our contempt for average, especially in our community. And, I think he was talking about the 26-year-old young woman who lives at home and is trying to get everything sorted before she moves out on her terms. And she said something that kind of set Kevin off. But, those of us who grew up in, middle class, lower middle class, upper middle class, let's not, slight our parents. And, it translates into relationships. If you have a man who's doing his best to protect and provide, don't let the glitz and glam of the celebrity life that is not real life, bleed into what you think, day to day will be. I'm here to tell you, even with 6-figure income, you're going to get up, you're going to exercise, you're going to eat breakfast, take the kids to school, you're going to prep meals, you're going to work, and then you're going to pick up from school, homework help, dinner, bath time, school projects, sports activities, maybe a family vacation once or twice a year. And there's nothing wrong with that. I consider myself average, but these are the memories that last, and these are the memories that bond you, with someone. So, let's not turn our nose up at that. It's not very becoming at all. Another thing that Kevin talked about is, how are we going to build a community with no wives? That's why we're here, ladies. Kevin talked about how men will kind of hunker down and they'll, put their nose to the grind and build themselves up and then come look for a wife. If you like to watch any of those period pieces, those older movies, a man goes off and makes something of himself and then comes to present that to a woman because they know that they have to bring something to the table. So do we. And, it's in the Bible if you believe, and Kevin says, he who findeth a wife finds a good thing. But we do have to be that wife first. Men are constantly scanning, and it's almost like they see something and they're like, that's what I want. And I want all men to have more options to choose from of women that man, I could see her as the mother of my children or stepmother to my children. I could see her taking care of the home and being responsible and releasing me from that burden so I can go shoulder another burden. So that's the community that we are going to build here in the Wives Club. Speaking of that, Kevin talked about the fear to get married. And, we see that a lot in our community. You know, like I said, I'm amicably divorced now. And even if a relationship doesn't work out, you have that practice. I'm so grateful that I was able to be, in that role so that when you meet somebody, you're already doing, those things. Don't let the fear of, a marriage not working out be debilitating. There are no guarantees. And, the businesses that you have, the side businesses, the careers, you may be able to do some of that in a relationship. But at the end of the day, like I said, the relationships that you build are the ones that are going to sustain you. So don't be afraid of trying your best. You'd be surprised what actually brings you happiness. All right, let's see what else Kevin said here. I'm just going to scroll a little bit. So we talked about boss chicks not being wise, focused on their career. Relationships need to be your number one priority and what you bring to the table. So he's talked a lot about competition, and I wanted to address that. And ladies, it's not just the competition and getting his attention, but how do you keep compete, how do you stay competitive? And it's in everything that we do to make sure that we're giving them what they need. How do you know what they need? You ask them. There's nothing wrong with that. It could be as simple as, for food, how do you like your eggs, scrambled or fried? Or, ask general questions about, if you could have everything your way, tell me, paint the picture for what life would look like. Listen to what they're saying and make sure that you're asking yourself, is that somewhere that I could see myself fitting in? And then work to make those changes that makes you someone that they want to come back to. So let's see, there's so much good content in this show. Kevin said that he's going to be leader of the feminist party. But, he did talk about if if we don't get this together, not only is it a threat to us and a threat to our community, he actually said it's a threat to the nation. So, you know, ending on, let's not ignore the fact that there is a problem, but I do believe there's hope. I'm an optimist. What Kevin said in the show, if you haven't had a chance to watch it yet, is if you have that fixed mindset, he did say then it's over for you. But I think we can turn that around, ladies. So, this will be the community where you can, you know, relax and be feminine and be girly and be nurturing, or get that support if that's something that you're trying to do, because I understand especially our younger ladies may not have those insights now. I'll share a little bit with you about a mistake, that I made, and I learned actually in therapy. My marriage was more 50-50. I, like a lot of you after college, I started that corporate ladder and I was very masculine, but I didn't realize that. And I just had this list of things that I wanted to do and where I wanted to go. And I looked at, my relationship as just kind of checking that box. Okay, well, I've got a husband. And then, that ended, and we still co parent very well. But when you're in a relationship with a high value man, he is going to set the pace. He is going to tell you, this is my vision for the future. And we know how to get in line when we want to. And it's actually quite refreshing. And believe it or not, it's what you want long term, because we can't continue to grind the way that we have until we're 65. No. And, you know, a thorough dude, as Kevin would say, doesn't want his woman, competing with him. That boss mentality, it's actually a very masculine trait. If you think about, hello, how are you? What do you do for a living? That's how men talk to each other. And there's nothing wrong with having accomplishments and there's nothing wrong with having accolades, but men want what they are not. They know what they're good at. And men can also realize where they need help and communicate that. So let's stop with the headstrong, competition. I'll give you guys an example and then we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Let's say in my relationship, we both make $100,000. Okay, so I can be working hard 50-50. He can be working hard 50-50. Combined income is 200,000. Or, let's say, for example, he is getting groomed for an executive, position. I can fall back, and we're actually putting plans in place for me to step back and work less, maybe part-time, contract. As his income goes up, let's say mine tapers off. So we can still have the same, 200,000 combined income, but I'm able to move into a role where I'm supporting him. I'm not burned out. I'm not stressed out. I'm not short with him. I'm giving him, what he needs. And I'm listening when he compliments me. I make sure to give him more of that. For example, he tells me, my voice is soothing. So I watch my tone. Sometimes we can be really loud. Sometimes we can be, really abrasive and yelling. I try to be mindful of that. If I just got done fussing at the kids and he calls, I kind of check it. Hey, babe, how you doing? To give him that little bit of, I'm happy to see you virtually, through the phone, smiling. Kevin talked a lot about this one. I do naturally smile. And my man has told me, sometimes I'll send him a selfie and he'll say, your smile is kind of like my pocket of sunshine. And so I have to be mindful, of that. One thing that I've done, there's a coffee shop that I go to, and they have a subscription where you can come in and get a coffee pretty much anytime. And it used to be like one of those errands, I used to just move very quickly and have these masculine, like, park the car, get out, slam the door, go in, get my coffee off the shelf, sit down and go do what I, need to do. And I just stopped one day and I was like, how do I show up? How can I be more feminine? How can I be softer? Just in that one thing that I do every day. So I became intentional about, when I park the car and I stop and I swing my legs out and I stand up like a lady and I walk into the coffee shop and I slow down a little bit. I actually make eye contact with people and, not smiling with the big toothy smile like I always do. But, Zoom meetings have helped us a lot. And one of the things that you can do is you can study yourself, record yourself, or have a friend record you. Listen to how you sound. Look at your different facial expressions. So one of the things that I do is I found a smile that was, how do you say, kind of like a smize, right? You smile with your eyes. So what I do is I think about like something funny that I heard, or kind of like, man, these kids think they're going to pull another one over on me. And it kind of lands on my face like this. So I'm not intentionally like cheesing, which could be awkward or not natural for you, but I kind of have a on my face. So when I walk into the coffee shop and I'm intentionally slower, and I look at, the young man studying, or say hello to the young, a girl barista, or look at the kids playing, I kind of have that resting smile on my face. And you know what? The manager of the coffee shop, hello, Miss Brown, how are you doing? People hold the door open for you. It's just a more pleasant experience. So that was something that I put into place to kind of slow down and be more feminine and more graceful. Because in this fast paced society, sometimes we're just ripping and running. And that's something I noticed about myself that I wanted to change. So find one area that you can be, that you can improve yourself. And hopefully that, little tip helped. And we'll have lots more to talk about, but it's definitely not over. I believe we can turn this thing around. So let's support each other. And more importantly, let's support our men, high value or otherwise. We love and support all men here. So I'm going to go ahead and end it there, ladies. Again, Margaret Brown. And like I said, I'm so grateful Kevin has given us permission to stand up the Wives Club and talk about lessons learned from his show. So let me know what your takeaways were if you think it's over. I think I just got a notification. So Kevin's about to go live. Instagram. And so I like to do these the next day after and give you guys my thoughts. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next time.